Welcome to ClickTools training on the Web2Lead form. Now this will be kind of a very simple example. It obviously doesn't cover all the powerful features of ClickTools. However, kind of the same underlying principles that I'm going to show you today can be used to build all your surveys and forms. At this point, when you're doing a Web2Lead form, just keep in mind we don't have any details about the contact. We don't have an email address, nothing. This is something that you would put on like as a link on a web page, or maybe at a booth, or have sales leads fill in the information for you. So at this point, Web2Lead form, just keep in mind you have no details about that contact. Okay?
Okay.
So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to log into the application. So all you need to do is go to clicktools.com, and up in the right-hand corner here, you will see Customer Login, and we select that. You can enter your email address or whatever your username has been set up for, but typically it is an email address. And then enter your password. Anytime you forget your password, just enter your email address and select Reset Password. You'll also notice up here on the right-hand side that the application does come in different languages. If you speak multiple languages, that might be informative to you. But once you've entered your details in, you can go ahead and select Login. When you log in, it's kind of a tab-based application. You'll see different options up here. One thing I want to point out before we go any further is if you require any help or assistance, up here in the right-hand corner you will see the help option. This is where you can go to raise a case to ask for support, call the support line. You'll also find that there's a number of guides out here. Pretty much the Getting Started guide is pretty much what I'm going over today, so that's just something to keep in mind. If you don't get everything that I'm talking about today right off the bat, you can also download this to take a look at it, but you'll see that there's other options available to you as well. There's also a number of webinars out there, and I believe this will also be one of them at some point as well. So a lot of great information out here just on that help menu. Okay? And that's just right up here in the right-hand corner under help. All right. You'll notice on the right-hand side we also do have some quick task options, and so the first thing we're actually going to do is we're going to create a new survey, obviously. So we're just going to select that quick task, create new survey. Really, when you're building a survey, it's kind of really in two parts, or form, not necessarily surveys. This always can sometimes be a form, and really this is actually a form that we're building. You're going to build your content, so all that content will kind of consist of two elements. We're going to consist of text, kind of just saying like, hello, describe your instructions, any content. And then the second part is really just kind of the fields and questions. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's really just two parts, very simple. Our first step actually is just to give it a name. So go ahead and give it a name. Okay. Then you can select your folder that you prefer it to go into. So I'm just going to put this in the new UI demo folder. And then you have here your template option. There's a couple in there by default. I obviously have a ton in my account, but you will see a couple that are in there in default. But this is really what's going to give you the look and the feel for your branding of your template, of your company. So just pick out a template. We're not going to get into how you build those today, but just know that they are in there. Let's see, I think I did use that one. And then select Create. All right. So this is really the first step, is really just kind of building out the content of the survey. So over on the left-hand side here, you see that there's a survey toolbox. You have the option to add questions. There are, I believe, 19 different question types in the system. You also have add text or script. This is where I was talking about that. It's just kind of your introduction information that you're going to put in, any instructions, anything of that nature. You have the option to add page breaks. So if you are doing a long survey at some point, you don't want people to have to keep scrolling down, you can just simply select that add page break. We do have something called Add Group. This actually can help you if you're doing kind of want to group the questions in a little bit different format than in the builder here. And then you have an option to copy content, which we will actually be touching on today. So for the first portion, I'm just going to select Add Text or Script. Again, this is just my introduction information. You'll notice if I put my mouse on here, over on the right-hand side here, you'll see that there's an option for edit, remove, and copy. You also have some question condition options you can put in. We're just going to select edit. Now you do have the option for a title. This is not seen by the end user. This is just for your own documenting purposes. So I'm just going to say sign up. And over on the right-hand side here, you'll see that there is a little arrow, and that'll bring all the formatting options available for you down. And you'll see that throughout the questions as well. So I just want to kind of bold that, maybe give that an underline. Okay. And if I scroll to the bottom here, come on, just going to hit apply. Okay. So you just see that the title there that I put in, intro, again, that's just for your own documenting purposes. The next item I'm going to do is select add text. No, I'm sorry. No, that's not what I want to do. So I'm going to select a remove. Yes. I want to actually add the question. Again, like I said, there's 19 different question sets. So you first have your single select questions such as radio. You have a multi-select, which are typically checkbox and multi-checkbox. Then you have text, which gets a little confusing sometimes, but this is actually a field where people can enter information. You have different numeric options, and then you have some other options where you can do a document upload. You can pull down the country, date field, etc. For our purposes today, very simply, we're actually just going to be adding a text question. Now, ours is very simple. We're really only going to be adding 6 questions. The first one is actually going to be the first name. So I'm just going to select again here, edit. You see that there's 3 different tabs at the top. Let me just put in here. I'm just going to put in first name here. But I'm going to use the watermark option actually in this form, so it actually will put in that box kind of a grayed out lighter text that says enter first name, if that makes sense. You'll see when I do that. You do have some layout options. So for this option, I'm actually not going to be showing this text where it says first name. I'm actually just going to be showing the watermark for it, so I don't want it to say first name, first name. So if you look in layout here, you do have the option to hide the text. You do have the option to have these questions numbered or unnumbered. For our purposes, I'm just going to select them to be unnumbered. You do have a help placement option if you wanted to add some further details. We'll put it in a grayed out format as well. We're just going to leave it through template, but you do have options to put at the top, the bottom, or just hide it all together. I'm just going to hit it in. And then you also have an option if you were not hiding the text to place the text at the top of the field, to the left of the field, to the right of the field, or at the bottom of the field. Okay? And if you can write any type of code, you can customize it even further. Okay? I'll come back to validation. For this one, I'm just going to select apply. So you can see how it puts first name actually in the box and not to the outside of the box. Okay? Now I have this one kind of formatted the way I want the next one. So instead of going back here to add the question, I'm actually just going to select that copy option. And that's just going to bring it right below that. I'm going to hit edit here. And for this one, I'm just going to make it last name. And I'm just going to update this as well because this comes in handy when you're doing your mapping. Okay. I'm going to hit apply. Okay.
What's the difference between the box that says text and the one that says watermark? What does the text box do?
So if I didn't hide that text, this is how it would look.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yep. So instead, if we just use this preview option up here on the right-hand side, you can actually kind of get an idea of what your survey is going to look like. So here it is just with the watermark, and here's it with the actual text. Like I said, you can put that to the left or the right or the bottom if you want to. Right here, it's at the top. It's kind of just personal preference. But yeah, that's the watermark. I'll put it right in that spot. Okay. And just edit that, turn that back off. Okay. So the next items that I actually kind of need are company, email, and phone. And you probably wouldn't necessarily do this if you were building this form, but I want you to be aware of this option. I mentioned that we're going to use that copy content option. So if I select copy content, I can go to a folder that I have a survey in that has similar questions. So if I have a survey that I know I want to kind of repeat these questions in this survey, instead of rebuilding them all again, you can actually come out and pull them from an existing survey. So I just need to find my survey here. Let's see, here it is called, there's just way too many in here these days. I believe it's this one. Nope. Give me a minute here.
Does this all look the same within Salesforce as well?
What's that?
Does this all look the same within Salesforce?
Yeah, actually, if you have it built as an application in Salesforce, it'll look just like this. Yeah, you'll just have a couple different tabs at the top. Sorry, I'm just looking for my survey. Bear with me a moment. There we go, Web2Lead copy form. All right, so I need to add the company, the email address, and the phone number in for this Web2Lead form. So what it does here is it shows you all the questions that are available in that survey. We don't have a lot in this one, but there is 3, so you can choose to select them all or select them individually. So I select copy, and I found my survey that I wanted to put that into. And so now you see if they've put them in. You don't have to edit them if you don't want to. I do want to show you something with the validation option. So with email address, if I just select edit here, you can add a validation option to it. So if they don't put the @ symbol in or something to that nature, it'll tell them, you know, that's not a valid email address. There's a number of different options out here. You can do US or UK postal zip codes. Text formats you can do. Email address is probably one of the most popular ones. State codes. So that it's all kind of formats the same way, especially if you are passing this into Salesforce. You kind of want things to pass in how they should. And then you're actually able to write your own error message. So I just wrote an error message of please enter a valid email address. Okay. We're going to leave the layout the same. Actually, I'm going to hide that text. Actually, you know, I'm going to leave that one on so you can see that. And I'm just going to select apply. And same thing with phone number. If we take a look at that one. This one is just a US phone number. So my error message I typed in is please enter a 10-digit phone number. Okay, makes sense. And then the last option that I'm going to add in is an essay question. So again, that is a question. It's not the text or script. So I'm going to go to text, and I'm going to select the essay option. And I'm going to select edit. Comments. Okay. Apply. Okay. Again, you can use that preview option. See how it looks. Pretty much that's how it will be. You probably wouldn't have a progress bar. This is by the template, but that is an option that you can utilize if you do have a longer survey that has multiple pages. So that's something we would end up removing, but it is associated with the template that I put this with, unfortunately.
Can you number the first 2 watermarked questions without having the additional text above it?
So if I number them, and I should unnumber these other ones as well, it would look like this pretty much. Or
So
we
I
can,
can number them without having the text showing?
let's see. Let's see how it looks. I actually forget.
No. Unless you just wrote the number 1 in a text field.
Numbered. Yeah, it doesn't look like that it will actually show the number when it's just utilizing the watermark. Learn something new every day. Yeah, you could,
Put a number 1 in a text box.
yeah, you could, well, yeah, if you wanted to do that, yeah. So you would unhide the text, hit apply. Oh.
No.
There you go.
Now you don't need this. Come on.
Explain with us.
Numbered, apply. Huh. Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to my dev team about that because that doesn't seem quite right to me. So if I put that in, if I put anything in here, yeah, it seems to only show up if there's actual text in that field, otherwise it won't show up at all.
The email address you signed in with, that's not necessarily the one that it will show the survey coming from, right?
Say that again?
The email address you signed in with won't necessarily be the one that's shown that the survey is coming from, right?
So this is just a Web2Lead form. So whatever they enter as their email address and submit, that's what will be there.
I mean, if you were to send this as a survey, would it come from the email address you signed in with, or can you choose an email for it to come from?
Oh, if you were actually not doing a Web2Lead form, you were doing something like a deployment where you had the email address for the actual contact,
Yeah.
you wouldn't actually need to put this field in if you had their email address. You could, but the from email address, that can be determined from your Salesforce system or from your ClickTool system, depending how you're deploying.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So we pretty much have our form created at this point. So our next step is to actually map this to Salesforce. So let me just fix this real quick. So I'm going to take the numbers off all of them because I just don't think it looks very pretty. Okay. Okay. So again, phone and additional comments. All right.
So how come those changes wouldn't show up on the form you're building?
So it looks that way, but that's just to kind of, for some reason, keep in order. But if you look at the preview here, you then see that it actually does not have any numbers in it. And this is really how it will look to the end user. Okay. So if we're ready, just so you're aware, if you select deployer, this is actually your survey URL link that you will be using. We're going to go back into the builder here because we need set up a couple things. So I'm just going to go to survey settings here. So I'm in the builder, I'm in survey settings. This is where you'll see the name of your survey. You could edit that if you wanted it to. You can change it to a different folder if you wanted to. You can select other languages. Keep in mind that you do have to translate those languages. We don't translate them for you. And this is where you need to determine if it's going to be linked to Salesforce. So this has to be set up for yes, manual or automatic. Manual means it'll sit on the ClickTool side until you initiate it to sync to Salesforce. And automatic means that it will automatically log into Salesforce and pass those responses in. For our purposes, we'll just do yes automatic for now. So you will need...
Salesforce, you don't have to do this part?
Nope, this is all on ClickTools. I'll let you know when we get to Salesforce. It's all ClickTools. So this is where you are going to enter your Salesforce password. Now keep in mind you do need to have the proper permissions to pass these details in. You need to have like an API user profile or admin profile, and you need to be able to update or create or whatever you're trying to do on the Salesforce side. You need to have permissions to those objects to do those. So the best way to figure out if you have those permissions are go into Salesforce and try to create a new contact or try to create a new lead and save it. So that's the best way to figure out if you have the right permissions or not. Okay. If you are utilizing the sandbox, you want to check that response. You also have the option to delete responses after successful sync. So what that means is once you sync the data to your CRM system, it will remove that data from ClickTools and you would no longer see it on the ClickTools side. I typically tell people if they want to utilize that feature, on their first couple deployment, I would say let the data sit on the ClickTools side for the first week so that you know that you are getting all the proper data in your CRM system, because there's no going back and taking a look on the ClickTools side to pull that data in if you have selected that response. So always just make sure that you're getting everything you want on the CRM side before you select that option. Okay. You can also change your look and feel template here. You do have the option to start and close surveys or forms. It will prompt a message saying that this survey has been closed or this is not available. You'll want to pretty much keep these defaulted to yes. If you're passing any hidden data in as questions for the more advanced options, you would want to make sure that says yes. Now the multiple responses is probably one of the most key things to keep in mind in this. If that is set to no, it will retain all your previous survey response answers for about 30 days. So you'd want it set to no if you were possibly doing a very long survey or form that people may not fill out within one sitting. And then they can come back multiple times within 30 days to pick up where they started off. If you're testing something, you'll want to make sure this is set to yes as well, because otherwise it won't pass the data in and it'll look like it will retain your past answers for 30 days. So if you want to, so for ours, since it's such a short survey and we're going to be kind of testing it out, I'm going to select yes. So it'll look like a new survey each time and it'll pass it in as a new survey. Then down here you have what we call an exit page. So upon the submission of the survey, you may want them to go to a certain point. You may want them to go to a thank you page, which you could create and then paste in that actual survey URL into this field. For our purposes and for simple purposes, we're just going to have it go to our web page. So select test. If you were a support or help portal, maybe you wanted to go to your support page or something to that nature, but we're just going to keep it to the exit page. Once you set that up, you can select save. And now you can actually start the process of mapping.
Can you customize the message once the survey is closed?
Actually, you cannot at this time. Maybe with some custom work you could do it, but out of the box functionality, no. Okay. So now we're actually at the point where we can start the mapping process. And you'll see here, if I just go back to my surveys tab, here's my Web2Lead form for today. I have the green option here, which means I have set it up to sync to Salesforce. If you don't see that, you know that you need to go in your Salesforce settings to change that, so this one's not set up for it. And then you'll see a double arrow, and you can select Map. You're going to need to enter your Salesforce login credentials. And if this fails, keep in mind that you may not have the right permissions to access it this way. And you'll need to talk to your Salesforce admin about that. Okay. So now it's going in and grabbing the fields from Salesforce. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. All right. So we're going to create a mapping for each type of information or object that we want to work with. So in this example, we want to create a new Salesforce account. So to do that, you'll see on the left-hand side here you have CRM objects. And if you select this pull down, this is all the objects that my login credentials has permissions to. So if you don't see an object in here that you think you should have permission to, you'll need to check again with your admin to make sure you do have full permissions to that object. Okay? So our first thing is actually we're going to create an account. So select Add New Object. Now we do allow you to kind of carry out 4 actions. The Create New Record is one that we're going to actually utilize today. So we're creating a new account. We're creating a new record in the account object. You do have the option to find existing. So if you wanted the system to find an existing account, you could do that. The other option is to update existing. So if you were trying to update a field within the account or something of that nature, you could choose update that existing account. And then you do have the option for update existing or create new, which is like if you can't find that account, just create a new one. Okay? You do need to make sure that you have all the required information that is needed to take those actions. So we're going to create new, and the system knows that it needs an account name to create that, so that is there by default. So on the left-hand side here, this is our form that we created on the ClickTool side. So this is what we created this morning. So I'm just going to put company, which is going to be the company name. So that's what I'm going to do for that. Right? So that's all we need for that one, is just to create the name. So I'm going to select another object because I want to create a contact that's going to be associated to that account. So I'm going to look for the contact object. So select Add New Object. This one knows that at the very least I need to have the last name. So we'll select last name. Again, that's the left-hand side here is the ClickTool side. I'm going to select Add New Field because I'm also going to enter the first name, which you can see if you even are hiding the text in the survey, that it's kind of nice to at least put it in there for mapping purposes. I put that F in there, but that's really first name. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're utilizing that function. Then over here on the right-hand side, again, I'm on the Salesforce side. Now I'm going to look for first name. Okay. And then I'm going to add the email address. So again, this is my contact record on the Salesforce side, so email address. And final thing that we need is the phone number. Okay. And we'll just put it under business phone. Okay, and then we do have an essay field that we put in for additional comments, and I am just going to add that into the contact description area. So it's a text area, so you have to pass an essay question to a text area, so that's just something to keep in mind. First name and last name are all string text fields, so they're going to a string field. So just kind of keep that in mind when you are creating your fields, that you have to have corresponding fields on the other side. So just keep that in mind. Then the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tell the contact record to reference the account record. And the only way that I can utilize it to do that is if account lives above contact in here. Now, if you needed to flip these around, you can just by holding your left mouse button down and dragging them. But you will see if I select Add New Field here, at the very bottom here you'll see Reference One Account. Now that would not come up if account didn't live above it in the mapping. Okay. You also see that there's a couple different fields here by default. You can pass a survey name if you have a survey name field in. If you have a date field, on the CRM side, you could pass in the completion date of the survey. A lot of people do that for reporting purposes. And you can also have the option to pass in the actual link to the survey, the read-only link, an editable link. It'll actually look like a survey link, and it'll open up and show you the name and all the details that were filled out. Now, keep in mind that does live on the ClickTools side, so if you delete it off the ClickTools side, you would lose that data. Okay? So you'll see here that there is an account reference option available to me. So because typically contacts don't exist without an account or vice versa. Okay? Once you have everything set up, and I would suggest even saving a couple times if you're doing a large mapping while you go, to just select that Save button. Okay? Okay, so that's our mapping. Very simple, pretty straightforward for the most part. We're creating a new record here, and we are creating a new record here that's going to reference that account. Okay, so that's the mapping. Very simple. Again, this is a Web2Lead form, so again, you don't have any information about the contact. Again, this would be on a web page somewhere. Maybe your sales reps fill this out somewhere. Maybe you're at a conference booth, something to that nature. So if you select this deployer option, what you would do is you would simply take that link, copy it, and put it onto your web page if you wanted to. I'm just going to launch it from here, and we'll fill that survey out.
Is that survey link customizable?
Say that again?
Is the survey link customizable?
You can actually in survey settings, there was an area I didn't go into, but you can customize it so it doesn't say ClickTools Go. It can say whatever your company name. So that is an option. You just have to make sure, you can find it under the help section. Make sure that you have set that redirect up on your end, that it's a real link that has to live on your end. So there is information under the help section of how to set up a customized URL link. Okay. So we have our form here. We go ahead and submit that. It links out to my ClickTools page. Somebody's taken it. And then if I log in to my Salesforce org, give me a moment here, I'll show you what that end result looks like. Hopefully. Let's see. There she is. So there it is. That's our contact. She's associated with the company, the account, DoCorp. And that is pretty much it. And that's pretty much Web2Lead. Do you guys have any questions? Pretty simple, pretty straightforward.
I'm good.
And you can see the information is in here for the account, and that concludes our training of ClickTools Web2Lead form. Thank you.